Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of What's Happening. I'm George Binns, and we're continuing our discussions with candidates. And this evening, the candidate for mayor of Beverly is Esther Ngotho. And I got a lesson in vocabulary. You don't pronounce the N. So it's Esther Ngotho. Esther, welcome.
Thank you.
And I guess, first of all, we have to point out that you're a doctor.
Yes.
What kind of a doctor?
It's a doctorate of public health. So I have a PhD, if you like, in public health.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you ever do anything with it?
I obtained this last year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So I haven't done much with it during the COVID pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
But I intend to do a lot with it.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to be a little challenging if you're the mayor, too, at the same time, I guess. As mayor, how do you see your campaign going? You talking to people? What are you hearing?
There's a lot of energy on the ground. People are very enthusiastic. And I'm encouraging them to turn that enthusiasm into votes. Mm-hmm. That's what we'd like to see.
And when you win the candidacy and become the mayor, are you going to be doing essentially the same thing as the current mayor is doing, only better, or are you going to do it different?
I think I'm going to do it differently.
How different?
Well, of course, you know I'm from Africa.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a perspective that I know most people here don't have.
Okay.
I've learned from both people and animals as well,
yeah,
in their natural habitat.
Yeah.
So like I normally say that I am going to adopt the giraffe kind of leadership. Giraffe, you know, it's a long animal that sees far ahead. And the other little animals stay by because when there's trouble, when it starts running, the other animals know we run with it. Until it stops, then they stop. So that's what I intend to adopt.
You remind me of when I was working for a living, we used to have these seminars, and they showed us one of it wasn't the chimpanzees, it was the baboons, that was what it is. They were out feeding with the water buffalo. And the baboons are very interesting. They always have one of them that's standing guard and watching. And when things start to happen, like there's a lion or a panther coming along, somebody will see it, one of the baboons, sound the alarm,
yep,
and they wake up the water buffalo, because the water buffalo can't see much, but they charge fiercely.
Mm-hmm.
It's same game, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you mentioned, okay, you're going to look far ahead, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for all the things that the giraffe looks for food, meaning for things that we will need, and for enemies, looking for disasters, you know, emergencies. So you see them ahead of time and prepare so that they don't get you unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is the kind of problems we're going to run into?
I think.
What do you see so far?
Most problems that I see have something to do with the environment, climate change. They are now becoming more frequent. And things like the pandemic, we didn't expect that one, but if you're prepared for one kind of disaster, that means you could probably deal with a lot of other disasters. So mostly I am seeing problems that are climate-oriented, flooding, storms, mm-hmm, you know, and emissions, stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, I was born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island, and Narragansett Bay is kind of a strange thing. It's like a triangle. Mm-hmm. And when the hurricanes come and the storm surges start, it starts up the bay, and it's getting narrower and narrower, and there's no place to go but up. So that's an area I think I'm well aware of, and I think, like you say, Beverly has started on some programs to do something about erosion and protecting some of the facilities, but haven't heard where it's going. So I guess one of the issues comes down to one of, yeah, we can talk about it, but how do we make something happen?
Yeah, we have to think out of the box.
Yeah.
And to think out of the box and be innovative, it calls for people to stop living by default. You cannot do things the way you have always done. You need to do things differently. And I don't know whether you know that I am a nurse. I'm an RN.
Yeah, you're a nurse, yeah. RN,
So
yeah.
I'm used to giving people bitter pills to make them get better. But at the same time, I prepare them so that they can move from their losing start point to a winning mindset. Let me give you an example. We have a lot of congestion on our roads, vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
For us to remove those vehicles from that road, we cannot use the same thinking that we used to create the problem. We have to think in reverse. Because what do you expect when you make wider roads and more roads? You expect more cars, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that design is oriented to cars. Now we have to start focusing on people instead. So for instance, we could make cardboard one way and Rontoul one way. But when we do that, we are not going to use the 2 lanes for cars. We use one of them. The other one, we build walking and cycling infrastructure. Mm-hmm. So we can reduce the speed of cars in our city. So we tell them you're going to drive at 20 miles per hour. Nobody wants to do that. They prefer to walk. So we have to do all those things that discourage people from driving in our cities and encouraging them to walk and cycle. So then the cars will evaporate. But if we continue building the roads, then we are inviting more cars.
Well, years ago I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals and we got discussing the master plan. Mm-hmm. And it had that comment in it to make Rantoul Street one way going south and Cabot Street one way going north. Mm-hmm. And again, it came down to one of these questions, and somebody said, yeah, but that's what it said in the one before this, and the one before this. So we keep coming back to this issue of, hey, it's a great idea, but
we are not doing
it hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
And that gets into one of the other issues of what do you see as the downtown? You go back enough years, and the downtown was where you went shopping.
Yes.
Had 2 department stores downtown, had a couple of grocery stores, mm-hmm. fancy markets, shoe store, mm-hmm. and all this stuff. Most of that is gone either online or it's off to the mall. Mm-hmm. And now the question comes down to what do you see as the downtown?
I don't know whether you have been to Lynn, Massachusetts recently.
Oh, yeah,
have you been there?
Not recently, no.
I remember 20 years ago driving in Lynn, and I felt like I'd never want to be there. But today, if you go to Lynn downtown, you want to be there. It's different.
What's different about it?
There's green infrastructure. People, they've made it in such a way that you want to walk. There's canopy, tree canopy. The roads are beautiful. They have drone cycling areas. They've made it possible for people to walk. And for businesses, like the businesses you're talking about, for them to grow, what you need is people, not cars. So if you make it really comfortable for people to walk, if you bring back trash barrels, mm-hmm. because people want to drink coffee, but they don't want to carry the coffee cup home. They want to be able to put it somewhere.
Yeah.
So you make it in such a way that people can come out of the street and get into the shop and come out. And if they have anything to discard, the barrels are right there.
Yeah.
So I think we need to bring those back, for instance.
Okay, you're saying make it people-friendly instead
Yes,
of car-friendly.
people-friendly, yes,
Yeah.
instead of car-friendly.
Well, that gets into another issue that most of the development right now is either in the Cummings Center, and that's just about built out. Dunham Road is getting to be very, very active.
Yeah.
And they got a few more lots that they could develop. Cherry Hill is the next one.
Yes.
And that runs into a question of conflict between the traffic that the natives around it don't want coming through their neighborhood and the desire to have, want to work there. And obviously, you're not going to walk to Cherry Hill from the train station, either one, North Beverly or downtown.
I hear you.
So as part of this infrastructure, there's got to be something for longer distance travel than strictly walking or biking.
Okay.
So what do you think?
I think we can use the transit-oriented development where you have people live on top and then the businesses are downstairs.
Yep.
So if people live there, they'll come down, go to restaurants, go to the shops, and then go back home. But we also need to start a transit system, maybe a bus system, and if possible, a free bus system, so that you no longer want to pay $20 to fuel your car, but you want to get into a bus that is free.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will probably gain much more by giving free bus than charging.
Yeah.
I guess, yes.
Yeah, I've seen this a European country, and I can't remember, I think it was Luxembourg, that decided that all their transit is free throughout the country.
The Scandinavian countries, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, those countries are very good in encouraging people to walk, to ride, and their transport system, public transport system is really good.
The other one I remember is flew into Dallas one time, Love Field, and had to change planes. And they had what I would call a horizontal elevator that at every terminal there was a station where you'd step on this train, elevator I would call it, and it would just make the loop. And it was totally free. You just grabbed your bags, get on, you go to the next terminal where your next connection was made. And I would love to see something like that in Beverly that ran between the TOD that you're emphasizing, like we have on Rantoul Street already, and the Cummings Center. That's a long walk from the train station to the Cummings Center, especially in inclement weather. You're not going to walk from there to North Beverly to Dunham Road or to Whole Foods or any of those. And that's the other part of this system is very narrowly focused on apartment buildings. And yet everybody that's in an apartment building has to eat and they need groceries.
Yeah.
So automatically you're not going to schlep a bag of groceries from Rantoul Street or from Stop and Shop back to Rantoul Street. So this is...
Why not? Let me tell you this, George. When I first came into Beverly, I didn't have a car. But I had a cart, like a little thing that I pulled to grocery store, and I put my things there and brought it home. And another thing about the free buses, I used to get into the train, go into Boston, and the ticket you bought, I don't know whether you can remember this, the ticket you bought, you used it for the bus. You didn't pay again.
Yeah.
So if the walkway was people-friendly, there were flowers and nice canopy, you will want to walk from the train station to maybe, a mile away. So I think we can do this because I'm looking at it from public health eye.
Yeah.
If people can move, can walk, then that means that will bring down the risks of obesity and heart disease.
Yeah.
So and the whole thing is about people being healthy. Healthy people are happy people.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I am thinking about is making people healthy. I don't like walking a lot, but I have a friend who comes and pulls me and says, let's walk. Every time I walk and I come back, I feel so happy. And I'm like, why didn't I want to walk?
Yeah.
So long as we have provided the infrastructure, people will walk.
Mm-hmm.
And so long as people know why they are doing it, you know, we have to educate people about staying healthy, being mobile. So long as they know, then they will walk from the train station to 1 mile away.
Yeah, that's the whole basis for the TOD.
Yes.
About every one of the train stations, 1 mile radius around it
Yes.
is going to be for concentrated living of some sort.
Yes.
Condos, apartments, and we've already gotten into that on Rantoul Street. There's a lot of pushback on that. A lot of the people don't like the idea that that's all we're doing down there. The next question is, what are we going to do about Cabot Street? We sort of tried with it a little bit of playing with it, with putting up these barriers along the streets, expanding out the sidewalks, eating on the sidewalk and that kind of thing, which fits, I think, your story. But what do you see as the long-term development goal for Cabot Street?
Okay, let me first say something about the development on Rantoul Street. Well, it is transit-oriented development, which is a good thing. But, according to me, that of a development is dysfunctional. And it does not provide affordable housing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at what they call affordable, it is 60 to 110% of the median income.
Yeah.
That's very high. It's like from 80 to 50 to more than 80,000.
Yeah, the median income for Beverly is 75,000.
Yes. So 60% of that to 110 of that is what they are calling affordable.
Yeah.
So we need to redefine what we mean by affordable. There are so many people who earn less than 75% in Beverly. I know for a fact that the para-professionals in schools earn 20,000 per annum.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about Rantoul Street buildings being affordable, they are not affordable for those people. And all those buildings, most of them are rental. We should encourage our people to own the homes, because owning homes, that's how you build equity. That's how you become wealthy.
Yeah.
So we should have programs that help people to buy their first home. All the companies that are building those homes should let the people who rent to somehow end up buying that home. So I do think that as much as the development is good, is transit-oriented, it is dysfunctional. At the same time, we haven't had these people who are constructing those buildings, they haven't shown us what they are doing to make sure that the increase of the population on Rantoul, there is an equivalent increase in provision of services like water, like, you know.
Yeah.
Or if they cannot do that, they would have to pay the city a concurrency fee, so that when that problem arises, then the city is able to provide those amenities for its own people. So that development is dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we should probably pause it and rethink what we are doing.
Yeah, I've had Andrew Defensa on the show talking about it.
Yeah.
And he mentions the same thing. There is the affordable housing, which is the 60 to 110% of the median. And then there's housing that people can afford.
Yep.
And that's where the shortcoming is right now. And that implies that we have to do something with the zoning.
Yes.
Where I was growing up in Providence, it was all three-deckers.
Okay.
So you buy, and we've had this discussion with Todd Rotundo also. You buy a multifamily house,
Yeah.
and you've got the renters helping you pay the mortgage.
Yes.
And develop an equity in the building. So this implies that we have to do something about the single-family zoning to encourage at least multifamily, or do something different. And again, we get back to Cherry Hill and Folly Hill as being the places where there is land that can be developed. So there has to be a decision made. Are we going to turn it over to business and provide more jobs, which is always a good thing, or have some sort of balance where we provide jobs and resources so that people can live within walking distance of the...
You are bringing very important points over there, George. When they talked about affordable housing, sometimes they say it is 30%. Your housing bill should be 30% of your salary.
Yep.
Now, take again the person I told you earns $20,000 per annum. 20% of their income leaves them nothing for their other needs. So that is a bad approach. We should approach it from the residual income. When you pay for the housing, how much do you remain with to use on the other things that you will need? There's another point that you mentioned about housing. I wanted to stop you because I thought it was very, very important. I forget.
Okay.
I forget what it is, but it was very important. I wanted to stop you, and then I let you continue.
Triple deckers, multifamily?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what it was. We have to put a break on single family homes. George, do you know how single family homes came to be? Because in Beverly alone, 70% of residential land is occupied by single family, and less than 26% is occupied by multi-family. So the single family homes was another way of the government segregating people, because those families, those homes could not be owned by people of color. They were only owned by white people. So the people of color and poor people, poor white people, got concentrated in the inner cities. So now you can see how much land that the single families are occupying all by themselves. We need to put a break on that one, and then rezone and upzone. When you talk of 3 deckers, you are talking about upzoning. And at the same time, stop the private construction company from paying out of the obligation to provide affordable housing on site.
Yeah.
Because what they do, they pay very little and make sure that only people who are wealthy get into these homes. That creates fuels, if you like, gentrification. So if you go to Rantoul right now, the original people who are there, people of color and poor white people, they are not there anymore.
Oh.
Those buildings are occupied by wealthy people. So...
well, they're occupied by the expats from Boston who
Yes.
can't afford to live in Boston.
Yeah. So if I'm mayor, I'm going to eliminate, inclusionally, paying in lieu of providing the homes. So all charge very high so that the building companies will find it better to provide the homes in the within the construction.
Well,
yeah.
You're getting into a very deep area that is very complicated because
It is.
Construction companies build them to make money.
Yes.
And the high-rise, high-finance buildings make more money than affordable housing.
Yes.
So it's a tough area.
It's a tough
But
area.
at the same time, we've had almost a half hour of fun. And maybe we should do this again and continue the discussion from that point of view, because
Okay.
that's one of my hot buttons of how do you get affordable housing? The way I put it is, how do you get housing that people can afford? And my idea is, call it a complete city, that you talk about it, making it a complete streets where everybody can walk or,
Yeah.
or bicycle or drive.
Yes.
We ought to have a complete city where everybody that works here can afford to live here. But before I waste the whole half hour, your turn to make your pitch of why they should elect you to be the next mayor.
Okay. I have walked in this city and I have talked to seniors. They are saying that their tax bill is escalating and they need a break. We do not take good care of our seniors. We don't even have parking where seniors and disabled people, because seniors sometimes are also disabled from illnesses like arthritis, we need to provide parking, reserved parking for the disabled people. I have also talked to workers in this city, teachers, bus drivers, police officers, firefighters. All of them are unhappy because either they are not earning living wages or they are working short. We need more police officers. We need more firefighters. I have spoken to mothers and people who walk their dogs in town. They want the trash barrels back because they want to be able to put whatever they carry into the trash barrels. I've spoken to people here who are complaining of rats infestation. From a public health point of view, we cannot coexist with rats. We need zero rat population. So all these people who have this, I've talked to people from Jordan Street. They have problems with flooding. People have problems here, and it's all boils down to a public health candidate. And I am that candidate. I bring unique experience, work and life experience. I am a black person living in Beverly. I am an immigrant living in the U.S. I have worked a low-paying job. I have had the homelessness hanging over my head. You cannot tell people how to tie their shoelaces if you have never worn their shoes. You need to have worn their shoes. So here's what I'm saying to you. If you want changes, you have to vote in November 2nd and vote Esther Ngotho for your mayor.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you stopping by. And as I indicated, I think this discussion should go on
Yes.
for another show, at least another half hour. And there are several issues you brought up in your closing story that need to be talked about.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody else has gotten into it. So I would invite you to come back and we can do some more of it. And
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And I hope we can do another show, and I hope you can make the time to watch it and think carefully about what are you going to do on November 2nd. First of all, you got to get out to vote. Secondly, make it a conscious decision. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll talk to you later.